We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Our final segment this morning with John Harris with the Tennessee Firearms Association. The man knows a lot about guns and the laws here in the state of Tennessee and at the federal level. So if you have a question, 737-7587. John, what do you say we take more calls?
Absolutely.
You're a popular guy. We'll go next to Ronnie. Ronnie, good morning. Hi, Ronnie.
Good morning to y'all.
Morning.
I got two questions. My first question is, can you carry a sword on your back walking on the road? And my next question, if you got anything against you, like a felony, how do you get that expunged?
Okay. The first question, Tennessee Code Annotated 3917-1307 used to say that it was a crime to carry with intent to go armed a stick, a club, a knife with a blade over 4 inches, or a firearm. That statute was amended about 6 or 7 years ago to remove the knife. So presently, there is no Tennessee statute that specifically prohibits or addresses whether a citizen can carry a sword with or without the intent to go armed.
Or like a samurai sword. Now, and he said, I could just see someone walking down, with the big sword sheath behind their back. Like, you carry it. I don't see why that would be illegal, right? I mean,
no. I mean,
if you have a big machete hanging from your side,
there's currently no law that would prohibit that. Now, the second question about expungements. We do a lot of those in my law practice, and there are a large category of people, mainly with nonviolent felonies, or people who had guilty pleas that were diversionary, who can have those convictions or pleas expunged. Generally, if the person has a federal felony, it's not expungible, and not much we can do about it because Congress, even though there's a statute that would let it be expunged, isn't providing funding. And generally, if you have a violent felony or a felony drug offense, but not all of them, you can't get the expungement.
Question for you, just with regard to stand your ground and self-defense. If you feel you're in danger for whatever reason, someone doesn't have to be attacking you with a gun for you to use a gun to defend yourself, correct?
No, there's no requirement that they have a gun.
The reason I bring this up is I'm sure you're well aware of that tragic case where you had that bar fight outside where the two young men were stabbed to death and killed, and the other one injured, and the young man now is charged with murder. Supposedly video of it. The weapon has never been recovered. From what I understand in the video, he had something between his hands, not a big blade knife. There was something where he punched.
A dagger knife.
Would that be what it would be, or something like that, where he punched allegedly, since they haven't recovered it and he's charged, but the Bedford boy and then one other, and it killed them. The question when it will come down now, when it goes to trial, if and when it does, and it probably will, is, all right, within what realm would he have the right to defend himself with a weapon like that under those circumstances, and when does it become murder? A lot of people have rushed to judgment saying this is inappropriate. These guys came at him, were punching him, and he stabs them. How is that fair? They're punching you and you stab them, and you've already established it doesn't matter what they're coming at you with. If you fear for your life, they're big and tough, and I'm not making excuses for this guy. I'm just saying I'm trying to understand what his defense might be.
Well, we've got a statute in Tennessee. It's Tennessee Code Annotated 3911-611, which is the self-defense statute. And it basically says you're allowed to use force to repel force against you. And it says if the level of force being used against you is such that it reasonably could result in death or serious bodily injury. And serious bodily injury is protracted pain, disfigurement. There's a statutory list. But it's not. Death is one of them, but it's not the entire list. So, for example, when we teach these deadly force classes, if there's a disparity in the size of the two, or there's a gang versus one person, if that aggressor has the capacity to either cause death or serious bodily injury, then deadly force is justified. So the person attacking you, it could be just they've got a black belt and you don't, and they're just whipping your butt, and you didn't provoke it. You know.
Then does who provoke it come into play?
Yes, who provokes it does come into play.
Okay, so, and there's some questions about whether or not he punched someone first earlier, and there was a dispute maybe over a girl. They followed him outside of the restaurant, or he was waiting for them, and then they converged, and it sounds like there were several folks fighting, and he was in the middle of it, and then he gets knocked down. A lot of it's going to have to be worked out, but these things are not always just cut and dried. And the mere fact that someone says, look, they were just punching him, and he stabbed him, how is that right? Look, if you fear for your life, I understand if someone slaps you in the face and then you pull out a gun and just shoot you, that may be a little over the top, and a common sense person would say that's too much. But if all of a sudden someone much bigger than you, or several of them, come and start pummeling you, you may have a right to use more significant force against them.
Oh yes, absolutely. And like I said, it doesn't rise to the level that they either have to have a weapon or that they're clearly capable of killing you, because we have this death or serious bodily injury. And serious bodily injury is a defined term in our statute, and it includes a lot of stuff like protracted pain. What does that mean? Well, it's going to be up to a jury to decide.
Gotcha. That's why we have that. Real quick, let's squeeze in one more phone call if we can do that from Patricia. Good morning, Patricia. Do you have a quick question?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am. What's your question?
Well, he kind of answered it, but I want to ask it anyway. For a lady that's 69 years old and fragile and has many illness, and should she be allowed, she's a sound mind, should she be allowed to carry a gun? Okay, the reason I asked this question, I was beat with a small refrigerator, my vacuum cleaner, and small television, 13-inch TV. My son attacked me trying to take my home. Well, the state did put me out of my home until I got a lawyer, Attorney Christie, and I had to go before the judge. But in the mix of all this, it was in the wintertime. I'm a cancer patient. I have fibromyalgia, everything to do with coldness I have. So I could lose my toe tips, fingertip, nose tip, ears if I'm in severe coldness.
Well, hang tight on that. I think she asked her question at the outset, and wow, sounds like a tough customer. Yeah. There should be no reason why she could not legally pursue getting a gun if she's older. And
no, that's exactly right. Unless you've got a prohibited factor in your background, which is typically a felony conviction, misdemeanor domestic violence, or some others.
Would there be any physical limitations that would preclude you from maybe being able to get a gun?
No, there's not a physical element at all.
There? And certainly there's no age limit on that, or whatever.
I've seen plenty of people in their 80s go get handgun permits.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that was hopefully, Patricia, and I hope you get better, and I'm sorry you're going through this, but yeah, there wouldn't be a reason you couldn't. And for her to go get a gun, she could tell her how she goes about getting one.
Oh, the safest thing to make sure that you meet all the standards, at least with your first gun, is to go to a licensed dealer and go through the background check. Yeah. And they'll give you some advice on maybe what's the right kind of gun for you. I mean, frankly, and I'm a licensed instructor, although I don't actively do instruction work because I'm too busy. A lot of people who've not got a history of guns or familiarity with guns, a lot of people, the best weapon, handgun for self-defense or home defense, is a revolver. They're minimal amounts of things that you have to do to keep them functional, and they're foolproof.
Very reliable.
Yes.
Very reliable, and probably weapons that would be small enough for her to manage, correct? I mean, that's the thing. She's a smaller, older woman, but there's a gun, that will fit almost anyone's hand, right?
Oh, I've got guns where the entire thing fits in my palm.
Or in your palm. All right, are you going to come back on in a month or so, and we can talk again more about what we see happening in the legislature? Any new developments along those lines?
Yes, I'll be glad to.
All right, John. It's always a pleasure, man. You're great.
Thank you.
Whenever you come on, I learn stuff from you. You are very knowledgeable, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Listen, we'll be talking to you. We'll take a break. I'll have a programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us. That's awesome.